Hello, I'm Tommy Moore from the Bartitz Lab, and I wanted to talk about some soft skills in this video. But I'm going to start with a story, and that story is set in India. A number of years ago, villagers in one area of Bengal, which is a very waterlogged region where the river Ganges comes to a delta, there are lots of tigers attacking villagers. And in 1 year, 60 villagers were mauled, attacked, and many were killed by Bengal tigers, huge carnivorous predators. And the villagers didn't have much money, and they couldn't afford tiger hunters or traps or best fences or defences to work against the tigers. So they were just being eaten. Now, one villager had a very, very good idea, and the idea was this: that when the villagers went to get their water, which they had to do in areas where there were tigers that were preying on things near the water, they decided to put masks on the back of their head. And those masks were of a human face with the eyes open. And what that started to do was drastically reduce the number of attacks from the tigers. So whilst the tigers still stalked the humans and watched them, because the tigers thought they had been seen, the tigers were reticent to act. Because they thought they'd been rumbled, they were much more reticent to take on the humans, to attack the humans. Nothing had changed. The humans weren't bigger, they weren't more armed, they weren't more numerous, but what they looked like and what they were more aware. Awareness is really, really important for all animals in the natural kingdom. If you think about the sheer volume of animals that have dots and stripes designed to look like eyes, you'll understand that what they're doing is projecting awareness. They're not just being aware, they're making others know that they are aware or feel that they are aware. And that is very, 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 very important. So if you imagine when the tiger sees the eyes facing it, that's no longer an easy target. The tiger will still easily kill the human, but it might have to do a bit more about it. The tiger will change its pattern. It will wait. It will hunt someone else that isn't aware. Even the biggest, strongest beasts in the animal kingdom want easy fights. They want the easy fights. They don't want the hard fights. So that notion of projected awareness, the masks on the back of the head, made the tigers think, I'll wait for the next thing to come along. Thank you very much. And it's such a powerful tool that even tigers themselves use it. And I'll tell you how they use it. When a tiger drinks water, it's then vulnerable. It's the top of the food tree. It's scary. It's got claws, huge muscles, massive teeth. It is a scary bastard of an animal. But when it's drinking, it's a vulnerable animal. And it knows it's a vulnerable animal. So what does it do? Or what did it evolve? Well, on the back of a tiger's ears, black ears, they've got white dots which look like eyes. So when a tiger drinks, it rolls the ears forward to look like two eyes. So at no point does the tiger look like it's unaware. It is projecting its awareness out to the universe, letting everything know that might be watching, don't fuck with me. That's what the tiger's doing. So if you're to take this and you're to adopt this for your own self-protection, for your own self-defense, there's some things that you can learn from the villagers and there's some things you can learn from the tigers. And the most important thing, and I'll use a driving test analogy for this, is you might look in the mirrors when you're driving and you might be safe. But when you're having your driving test, the instructor, the examiner, needs to know you're looking at those mirrors. You need to be more overt with your awareness. And the same is true for self-protection and self-defense. You taking a small glance might make you aware, but it doesn't let anyone around me know that I'm aware. So when you look, move your head, project your awareness, be seen to be aware. Think of your posture, how you stand, how you look. You don't need to move around like the Terminator, but instead of the glance, you may turn your head. You may look behind you in a natural way. You want to project that awareness using your eyes, using your posture, using the way you walk. Your entire demeanour needs to look and be aware. And what that will do, much like in the animal kingdom, is deter a good number of the predators. It won't deter all of the predators, but it will deter many of the predators. And projecting your awareness, letting them know you're aware by using your eyes, using your head, that is a really important skill to develop. So don't just look, be seen to look. That matters. A good thing that you can also think about is the acronym TED. So many people, when they are attacked, they are ambushed, they're assaulted. And that means that you're not paying attention, or you haven't projected that you're paying attention. Again, something to think about. But the acronym TED is one good way to know if you're being followed. And it goes a bit like this. The first T in TED is time. So how long has the following been happening? It's very unlikely or very strange for someone to follow you for more than 1 minute, 2 minutes, unless it's a very common shopping thoroughfare or something like that. With every extra minute, with every extra 30 seconds, it becomes stranger and stranger for someone to be following your exact route. So the duration, the time, is one of the key areas you need to be aware of. Has this gone beyond the pale of normal? And typically the pale of normal would be 60 seconds. It's less than you think for people to be going the same direction, unless there's a very obvious need for them to be going the same way. Second is environment. So a couple of ways you can spell out environment. So one of the first ones is, has my environment changed? If I've walked from the shopping centre to the park and they've followed me, then that means that it's very unlikely for someone to follow you through multiple environments. If you've changed that environment, and especially if you've been aware and you've tried to manually change it, you've made strange or abstract choices of where you're going, you know that there might be something wrong. You know that there might be something up. Also, people tend to not match an environment. So if you're going through a business district in London and there are people there in pretty raggedy looking sportswear, it's unlikely that they're there for a conference call. It's unlikely they're there for a meeting. What are you doing in this place? You do not fit this place. People tend to match natural environments to how they dress, how they look, what they do. And it's not to be, it's not to overjudge individuals by how they talk, how they look, how they dress, but there are some things that feel normal and some things that don't. And if a human's face, a human's body doesn't match an environment, it's something to hold in your mind. If they do not fit, if what they wear does not fit, if how they look, how they stand, how they talk does not fit, that's something that may let you know that you're being pursued or being followed or being tracked through an environment and you need to take action. The first D in TED is distance. And distance is an important one. Has someone maintained a healthy distance, an unhealthy distance? So an unhealthy distance might be 3 meters. Anything closer than 3 meters starts to get very unhealthy unless you're in a very condensed urban environment. But the more that environment opens up, if they start to maintain that 3 meter distance, that's something for you to worry about. Another thing to keep in mind, has the distance closed markedly? So it's very unlikely that people will move through gears when they're walking. So if someone's walking slow, it's unlikely that they'll suddenly start walking fast or even walk at a moderate pace. People tend to set and maintain a pace. Someone that's in a rush will continue to be in a rush. It's strange for people to rapidly increase their pace, their footsteps, their distance to you. It's unlikely. People tend to get in their lane and stay in their lane. So any differences you need to be aware of. And finally, demeanour. And demeanour can cover many things, from how they look, how's their face set, how are they using their hands, how are their shoulders? Are their shoulders slumped and sad? Are they up? Are they aggressive? Are they moving forward? All of these things you need to be aware of. Their entire demeanour matters. So if the time isn't right, if they've taken you through multiple environments, if their distance is erratic or closing or in any way unnatural, and their demeanour doesn't fit, then you've got a problem that you need to deal with. And a great algorithm thinking of this is baseline plus anomaly equals action. So for every place there is a normal. There is a normal for Covent Garden in London. There is a normal for the seaside at Scarborough. There is a normal for being in the middle of Beijing. And that's fine, and that's pretty consistent. Anything outside of that normal, places quieter or more packed, more rammed, louder than they should be, gives you a recourse to action. It's something you need to increase your awareness. You need to increase your readiness to do something. So if there's an anomaly to the baseline, especially if you're familiar with the area, you need to be aware that you might need to take some action. So some things you might need to be aware of there. And maintaining an internal monologue throughout. So if you feel you've projected your awareness and that's not deterred them, You've started to apply TED, and you've started to twig that you are being pursued. You might be predated. People are following you with bad intentions in mind. Are people or people? So what are you going to do? Well, a good way is to maintain control of yourself first. And that is by having an actively mindful internal monologue. I'm walking down this street. My phone battery's at 5%. I don't really have any signal. I believe there are 2 of them. There may be more of them. So I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Have that in your mind. Say these things to yourselves. And you might decide to try and test if you are being pursued. And one way is to burn them. So one way is to actively confront with how you look, or even words that you say. Look, you're making me feel a bit uncomfortable. Can you go past me, please? Now, a nice, normal person will go past you. A person with ill intentions, at least you're facing the threat head on. And as we know about with the tigers, predators don't really like that head-on threat. A good person will keep moving. A bad person at least now doesn't have the jump on you. So you can burn them. You can make them aware that you are aware. You could decide to do a clearing run. And what that means is making decisions that burn people's intentions. So for example, if you're walking and you make a right turn and then a right turn and then a right turn again, that is an unnatural way to move through an environment. So if someone has followed you through those environments, if they've followed you through that unnatural number of turns, then you know something's up, and then you can make your plan, whether to burn them, confront them, whatever you need to do. But do bear in mind that if you are going to do a clearing run, if you are going to say, right, I'm going to get on that bus, or I'm going to walk, and then I'm going to go bus, or I'm going to walk, then get in my car, and then I'm going to drive home. If you change the modes of transport, change the nature of your direction, or any other ways in which you can apply a clearing run, if you've not planned where you're going, you can find yourself increasingly trapped. So let's take the right turn model. You feel like you're being followed. You've projected your awareness, it's not deterred them. You've gone through TED and you've decided, I am absolutely being followed. If you try and do a clearing run and go right, 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 and you don't know where you're going and find yourself in an underpass, in a dark park, something like that, you might have made a bad situation worse. So it's very important to know and plan where you're going. Move with purpose. And have that internal monologue in your mind so that you feel ready for what could or might happen, and you feel in control of your emotions, feel in control of yourself. There's a very good acronym called SOS, and it's understanding yourself. So yourself might be, actually, I've come from the gym and my hamstring's really hurting, I can't walk as fast as I can, I'm feeling pretty poorly, it's dark, I don't see very well. Understand yourself and your situation, your mental and physical self. Understand that. The O, understand others. What are others doing? Are there bystanders? Are there police? Are there shop workers? Is it just the guy that I'm worried about? Is there more people that could be potential threats? And the final S is the situation, which brings us back to baseline plus anomaly means I need to act. So all of these things we can understand about projecting our awareness, what to do if we feel like we've clocked a threat and that's not deterred them. If projecting our awareness has not deterred them, then we need to move our way through not being pursued, and ideally move ourselves to a place or position of safety. And if those things fail, then essentially you're into 2 recourses of action, which is your verbal de-escalation, deterrence, or your physical skill sets. And again, these things, these are the 2 options you're left with. If you cannot escape, if you cannot evade by following TED and by changing your environments, changing your speed and being aware of other people's behavior, then you're left with the verbals and you're left with the physicals. And both of those are much more dangerous than you being switched on in the first place. If you project the right awareness, 9 times out of 10, the tiger will fuck off elsewhere. So learn from the villagers, learn from the tiger, project your awareness, and let them know that you know.